Mumbo is the name given to a woman who was a spiritual healer and leader in the traditional folk religion, Voodoo. She uses herbs and magic to do her work. There was once a woman named Mombosia. She had the most beautiful garden of okra you'd ever seen. Okra has an African name, Gombo, and also a Creole name, Kalalou. In this story, I will use the African name, Gombo. Mombosia had a garden full of beautiful, long, juicy gombo. She would sell the gombo right from her garden. But anyone who wanted to buy some had to be very careful. Whenever anyone went to Mombosia's garden, they had to greet her with a special good morning song. If they didn't, she would put them into a giant earthenware jar, a kanali, and at night she would make soup out of them. In the village where Mombosia had her garden full of gombo, there lived a cruel woman with her 2 daughters and her stepdaughter. The woman had no husband, for the girl's father had died. The woman was very mean to her stepdaughter and treated her like a little maid. The stepdaughter had to do all the chores in the house. She had to cook, do the laundry, do the ironing, comb her sister's hair, take them to school, and supply the family with water from the river. Whatever work there was to do, the stepchild had to do it. But even though the girl did all the work, she wasn't allowed to eat at the table. So the girl was often sad. In all her sadness, the girl had one hope. She knew that her father had hidden 3 jars full of money. 1 jar for each of his 3 daughters. The jars were buried under a tree in the village, but no one knew exactly where. Not even the stepmother knew. For the father never told anyone. Instead, he said before he died, he would come to them in a dream and tell his daughters where to dig for the jars. The stepmother, who was greedy as well as mean, was always scheming to get rid of her stepchild so that all the money would belong to her own 2 daughters. One morning, as the stepmother was passing by Mombosia's garden, she thought of a good way to get rid of her stepdaughter. She would send her to buy gombo from Mombosia, because the girl did not know the special good morning song. Mombosia would make soup out of her. When the stepmother reached home, she called to the girl and told her to go to Mombosia's garden to buy degu de gombo, 50 cents worth of gombo. The girl was very frightened, but she knew she must obey. As she walked towards Mombosia's, the girl started to cry. She cried and cried and cried because she knew what was about to happen to her. As she came near Mombosia's garden, an old man with a long white beard approached her. "My little girl, why are you crying?" "I'm crying," said the little girl, "because my stepmother sent me to buy gombo from Mombosia's garden. And I know Mombosia's going to make soup out of me." No, she won't," said the old man. "Not if you know the song. Repeat after me. Bonjour, Mombosia, si a degu de gombo, Belle-mère voyez m'acheter des goûts de gombo. Bonjour mon beau s'il y a des goûts de gombo. Belle-mère voyez m'acheter des goûts de gombo. It meant, good day, Mambo Sia. Sia 50 cents of okra. My stepmother sends me to buy 50 cents of okra. The girl repeated the song many times until she knew it well. The old man disappeared, never to be seen again. The girl went right up to Mambo Sia's garden gate. She began to sing, Bonjour, Mambo Sia, Sia des goûts de gombo. Belle-mère voyez m'acheter des goûts de gombo. Bonjour, Mambo Sia, Sia des goûts de gombo. Belle-mère voyez m'acheter des goûts de gombo. Oh, Mambo Sia danced when she heard the song. She gave all kinds of chica. That's a Mambo's dance, turning her Buddha in all directions. Mambo Sia was so happy she gave the girl a full basket of gombo. The girl took the basket of gombo to her stepmother, who was very surprised to see her alive, and with so many beautiful green okra. At the sight of all that okra, the stepmother's greed got the best of her. Immediately, she ordered her own 2 stepdaughters to go with the stepchild to Mambo Sia's garden to buy more gombo for their dinner. In her own greed, she forgot the important thing. Her own 2 daughters did not know Mambo Sia's song. As the stepchild reached the garden, she began to sing, Bonjour, Mambo Sia. Sia des goûts de gombo, belle-mère voyez m'acheter des goûts de gombo. Bonjour, Mambo Sia, Sia des goûts de gombo, belle-mère voyez m'acheter des goûts de gombo. But since the other 2 girls did not know the words of the song, Mambo Sia took them by their necks and shoved them into the cannery jars. News spread fast in the village. The stepmother ran like a lugau to Mambo Sia's garden. When she got there, she said, Mambo Sia, where are my 2 lovely children? But she had forgotten the most important thing. She didn't sing the song. Mambo Sia took the woman by her neck and said, You'll see for yourself. She too was shoved into the cannery jar. That night, Mambo Sia ate a delicious gombo soup made from the stepmother and her 2 daughters. As for the stepchild, for the first time since her father died, she got a good night's sleep. She slept so well, she dreamt. And in the morning, she knew where to dig for the jars of money. Grand-père Pierre was mad at everyone in the village. His corn was disappearing before his eyes. His peas were disappearing too. Everyone in the village acted as if they did not know anything about it. It seemed like some invisible hands were taking everything he had worked for. Grand-père Pierre had used all his resources. He had 3 zombies helping him on his plantation. Now, only 1 was left. He suspected that someone had given salted food to the other 2 zombies. When a zombie eats seasoned food, he is no longer useful to his owner. Although the zombie never becomes fully aware, after he eats seasoned food, he will not obey his master's commands. Compère Pierre had only one zombie left that had not yet been spoiled by the intruder. The farmer spent the night in his garden to catch whoever was stealing his crops. He kept a close watch all night. But the next morning, his plantains were gone. When did this happen? But only two people knew the truth. One was the intruder himself, and the other was Compère Pierre's best friend, Compère Moléon. Compère Moléon was a well-known mysterious man. When he learned of Compère Pierre's troubles, he performed some magic that told him the intruder was Compère Pierre's son. Yes, little Pierre. Petit Pierre was helping himself to his father's garden, getting rich on his father's account, while the poor old man worked so hard to leave money for his own funeral. Petit Pierre used a couple of invisible zombies, working all night to steal the produce from his father's garden. By morning, the produce was in the next village being sold on market day. All the work was done by Petit Pierre and his zombie. Compère Moléon could not bring himself to tell Compère Pierre the truth. Compère Pierre knew that his best friend Compère Moléon knew everything in this village before it happened, and as it happened, and after it happened. Compère Pierre said, Compère Moléon, why don't you want to help me catch the bad boy or boys who are making my life so miserable? I'm getting old and older. Death will soon come for me. But Compère Moléon said nothing. Finally, Compère Pierre could take no more. He called on his best friend and said, Compère Moléon, you are my best friend. You see what's happening to me. You are the godfather to my only son, Petit Pierre. That makes us family. I know that you can stop the intruder with some, you know what. He was thinking of a magic spell. Do something, Compère Moléon. Compère Moléon thought. He sighed. He turned his eye in all directions as if he were looking for something. He said, Charge qui sous tête a tombé sous épaule. What? The load carried on the head will fall on shoulders. What Compère Moléon meant was, this unfortunate thing taking place on the plantation was the work of a family member. I don't care, said Compère Pierre. Do something anyway. He never imagined the intruder could be his own son. Compère Moléon kept his silence for a while. Then he said, You must use your last zombie as a piquette, a thorn. Believe me, that will be a sure method to catch the intruder in your plantation. A knowledgeable man like Compère Moléon, well instructed in magic, could turn a zombie into a piquette. When a person stepped on the piquette, the blood of that person flowed without stopping. As promised, Compère Moléon began to work for his best friend. You have my blessing, said Compère Pierre. As promised, Compère Moléon began to work for his best friend. In 3 days' time, he came back with the sharpest piquette anyone had ever used. Compère Moléon told his best friend, Compère Pierre, that tonight he could be at rest and sleep well, for in the morning he could follow the trail of blood to the very doorstep of the one who was stealing from him. Compère Pierre danced, thinking what he would do to the bad fellow. That very night, Pierre planned to take all the fruits from his father's garden. The mangoes were ripe. The scent of the pineapples could be smelled from a long distance. The shadek were big and juicy. As for the sapoti, there is nothing sweeter. Likewise, the oranges and corossol, the citron, and so many other delicious fruits. Tonight, Pierre would take them all, and he was sure to make a good profit. Pierre would not do it alone, of course. He had all his zombies to help him. They carried the fruit to the next village. Pierre had a team of donkeys waiting down the river, next to the main road. As Pierre stepped on his father's plantation, the sharp piquet went deep into his flesh. This was real torture. Pierre ran back to his home with all his zombies following him. Pierre was in great pain. The worst was the flow of blood coming from his injury. It wouldn't stop. His wife, Madame Pierrette, applied all kinds of medical leaves that would usually stop the flow of blood, but nothing worked. Madame Pierrette tried vin leaves to no avail. She used salt and lime juice. Nothing worked. At sunrise, Compère Pierre was getting ready to go to his plantation when his daughter-in-law ran to him excited. "Come fast! Papa Pierre! Pierre is sick!" As Papa Pierre was walking with his daughter-in-law to attend to his sick son, he passed by the gate of his plantation. He noticed the trail of blood and thought, my friend Compère Moléon did a good job for me. I'll check on that later. Imagine Compère Pierre's surprise when he realized the trail of blood led right from the gate of his plantation to the doorstep of his son. The load which comes from the head will fall on the shoulders.